Well, welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank podcast. I'm here with Mr. Phil Smith. This is the best way to start a podcast. That was beautiful.
Hey, Robbie, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Are you okay?
Do you know, I just need to... It's been 100 miles an hour today, Robbie. Do you ever get one of those days where everything's coming at you from 8 different directions?
And you can't even take a second to breathe because everything's just hitting right in the lungs.
Yeah, I'm going to take that second right now.
Sometimes you need those resets, man. I'm telling you, there are some days I'm just like, holy shit, like there's too much going on. I would say I think one of my weaknesses is probably getting overwhelmed. So I usually try to get my work done first thing, get everything way ahead of schedule. So I don't ever have to worry. I can honestly leave early, but I work at a gym. And now everybody's signing up for a membership because they've been locked inside their house for so long. So it's like I have 50 million people. 3 people want shakes. I'm sitting there trying to make a peanut butter slammers, what they call it, with protein and peanut butter. And then 20 people are like, hello, I'm over here. I feel like a bartender. I'm like, I just want all of you to go in a single file line and shut the hell up while I do this.
Good luck with that. Hey, have you ever tried an isolation tank for switching off and resetting?
I would love to, but they're not that popular, especially in my area over here. I always hear Joe Rogan talk about it, but I'm like, to immerse yourself in complete silence has to be one of the most amazing things.
If you can find somewhere local, I'd definitely recommend it. Especially if you having one. Well, the thing is, you have to book in advance to a degree, but I would try and get in one every couple of months for an hour.
What have you really learned about yourself by going into an isolation tank?
Do you know, I'm not the type who's going to drop a lot of mushrooms and then go in there for some sort of deep introspective experience. It's more of I see it more as sort of a mental health, sort of just rebalancing kind of thing. Something like the girls who like to go on a spa weekend with their mates every now and then, or they want to go to a nail salon, or, it's like, I treat it like pampering. It's like my pamper session.
Yeah, kind of like a self-reset. It's what is it? Those little toys or whatever that have a little small reset button that they make you go get a paper clip to go hit the button. And you're like, well, where the fuck am I going to find a paper clip? I'm on a boat right now. You know what I mean? It's I always look at if I need a self-reset or something, I find because I'm an insomniac, so I'll be up in the middle of the night and I'll just have everything off. And last night we had a tropical storm come through. So I went right into my garage and I sat literally right on the floor with just a little pencil and paper and just listened to the rain pitter patter against the garage door or something. It was just, that's soothing to me.
Yeah, sort of getting lost in the pattern. It's trying to quieten. I think it's trying to quieten your sort of internal dialogue, isn't it?
Well, it's we're rushing 50 million miles an hour, 24/7. Everybody's always got 30 million thoughts going on in their head. I'm like, does anybody ever actually stop and smell the roses? And it's no, because there's a pile of shit right beside it. It's well, so what? Enjoy that. It's you ever seen the movie Dewey Cox where he starts grabbing the dog poop and sniffing it? He lost his sense of smell for 30 something years, and then he was like, what, do you ever stop and smell the roses? And then he's walking by and his smell comes back at an older age. And he just starts picking up dog shit and starts sniffing it. And she's like, you smell that shit? And he goes, oh, it's so nasty, but it's so good.
Well, this is it. This is the whole idea. It's sensory deprivation, isn't it? That's what you go into the isolation tank for. So the idea is that there's no natural light. It's pitch black. It's soundproof to a degree. And the water is got 1,000 pounds of salt in it, so you float, and it's heated to your body temperature. So it's trying to negate your sense of smell, sight, sound, and touch, and then that frees your mind to go wherever it wants to go. In my case, it just kind of shuts down.
Immediately when you were explaining that, I thought of the scene from Ron Burgundy or Anchorman, where Ron Burgundy's in the phone booth and he's like, "I'm in a glass cage of emotion."
Oh, seriously, man! If you can find somewhere near, I would try it. I recommend it to everyone. And I'm the same as you. I heard of it from Rogan, and I thought, you know, snake oil. What is this nonsense he's talking about? But it's really good.
I think it would definitely be an eye-opening experience, but I still am trying to get into like a massage therapy place. I've always been kind of like the last person to ever want to do chiropractics. So it's just, I don't know. I started realizing, like, you ever have like a friend that just jokes around and puts their hands on your shoulders and gives you like a quick massage, like as a joke? Somebody did it to me, and I swear to God, I was like, oh, like it was just, it was the best thing in the world. And I was like, don't stop. And like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not a masseuse. So I'm like, I don't care. There's so much like I went to Five Below, which is the store where you can basically, it's awesome if you're poor. It's everything is $5 or below. So you can literally walk in with like $20 and be like a king. It's like Dollar Tree. So I grabbed this massage roller thing, like it's like a back scratcher, but it's like kind of like it has a hook onto it, and it comes and it's able to hit the knots in your back. I did that. Oh my God. I was like, wow, I'm really carrying some stress in my shoulders. I really know what those people in those like Tai Chi videos are talking about. Where you feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. I'm like, no, but this ball joint's really showing it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's had a bit of a renaissance, hasn't it? Massage. It seems to be a lot more mainstream than it was maybe 20 years ago. Places popping up, you know, this side of the pond anyway, left, right, and centre, different city centres and towns.
Because I feel like everybody's starting to notice, like, oh, we're ignoring all these things until we're like elderly. And it's like, wait a minute, why does my knee not work at the age of 50? Well, it's probably because you never stretched, you never, relaxed, you never propped it up, you never did these types of things. And now you don't really walk, normal. You walk like Steven Seagal when he runs. It's like a skip.
I think part of that's part of our culture, though, isn't it? We don't look at holistic things. We sort of, if someone says holistic, people turn their nose up at it, and we tend to rely more on pharmaceuticals and doctors and surgery and that sort of thing. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, it's the fact of we've just been thinking of that mindset for so long. It's been so easy to prescribe somebody something. But it's like if I offered you Advil and then I offered you a type of herb that would do the same thing, have the same effect, you're going to go with the prescription one because, first of all, it's got a really fancy ass name you probably can't pronounce. And then it's got something that has this lab coat equivalent in your mind where it's like, oh, this is immediately going to fix me. I'm like, well, what about the herb root? Well, those don't always work. Well, sometimes Advil doesn't work. I've taken 3 or 4 of them before. I'm trying to get rid of a headache and it hasn't done anything. I mean, we just put too much faith in prescriptive drugs. I've talked to so many people from holistic medicines and gives out those teachings and creating their own supplements. It works, but and then to fight the side of the prescriptive drugs too, there are some stuff that holistic medicine can't help. Like if you're dealing with a serious bodily, internal injury like gastroparesis where your intestine doesn't work. It's easier to take a prescriptive drug for that. But when it comes to how we should be thinking, I'm like, I'm okay with self-care. I just think we wouldn't really need it if people were just not as stressed onto each other, because I think as people, we just take it out on everybody else around us. Like, fuck you, you have a Lexus. It's like, well, sorry, I got a good job and I went to school and studied for it, or I won the lottery.
Yeah. I think the way I see it is that the holistic sort of side of things tends to be more preventative. Whereas the pharmaceutical end of stuff seems to be, well, the shit's already hit the fucking pan. This guy needs a new knee or he needs, a pill for this or that. But I think people sleep on the herbal stuff and the natural remedies. And, people call it woo-woo, don't they? And, oh, it's shamans and new age and all that stuff. But these guys, thousands of years ago, they knew a lot more than we give them credit for.
Yeah, I always look at like the mortar and pestle when I started learning about like that time period that was introduced, like people calling them witches or Wiccans for creating all these potions and herbal supplements. And I'm just like, I wonder how, like, that actually brings up a good point. How many people were killed in the Salem witch trials and the fact of they were called a witch or something when they were just creating like herbal supplements?
Yeah. I mean, that's more sort of the church, really, isn't it? And organized religion. And that's a whole mess of a.
We've already gotten pretty deep in the beginning of the podcast without even figuring out what you do or what you're about. Like, for instance, the Amish Inquisition. I will give you a shout out right here, right now. Okay.
Yeah.
with the podcast, what do you focus on? Because immediately I saw the Amish Inquisition. I'm like, is he Amish? And if so, did anybody? I was like, if so, did anybody tell him that there's a pandemic going on? Because you guys isolate, and then there's like no technology, none of this. I'm like, I hope somebody fucking told them that the world has gone to shit.
Fucking hell, I never thought about that. Do you know, the Amish are probably doing just fine, aren't they?
They're probably making
probably
fucking butter and stuff, and they're like, somebody's like, did you hear about the giant pandemic that killed so many people? And they're like, what are you talking about? I've been over here with my amazing facial hair, and I haven't seen anything.
Not in our town, brother. No, just flew straight past him. 0 fucks given. Every credit to him.
I think they got it figured out, secluding yourself from society in a way. But like, I don't like the whole horse thing where they still kind of go by old technology. I think like maybe we can upgrade it, like not even give them. Wow, that's a good thought. I really need to write that down. But imagine just like old school muscle cars and a bunch of Amish people driving them. Like that's their new vehicles. It has to be 200 years past the newest thing or before the newest thing. So where we have a Tesla, they have to have the very first car.
Yeah.
That would change the religion.
No, they're all just driving around in Model Ts, Ford Model Ts. And
I'd go Amish for that. I don't even know the difference between an Amish and a Mormon person. I think I still envision the same hat.
It's Amish and Quakers get confused quite a lot, don't they?
The guy from the cereal thing?
Quaker Oats, yeah, and the Amish guys, and I'm pretty sure they're completely different. I'm no expert on
well, how are you not an expert? You have a podcast named after it.
Well, it's a pun, really. It's a pun on the Spanish Inquisition, and we thought it was quite ironic that you would have a podcast named after the Amish, because as you alluded to, they've sort of not backed technology, haven't they? They've rejected it, and they're going for a simpler way of life.
If we look at the way the world's kind of worked now, where it's running off technology, and now every place is only accepting card, I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's happened over there in the UK yet, but all right, so I have a theory, and now I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I think it's pretty damn solid.
Everyone always says, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but
there's a thing where I was going into self-checkout and it said only card. And I was looking and they have little at the self-checkouts, the cameras. And I was like, I think the reason why we're doing card now is because self-checkout can't identify your face because you're wearing a mask. So they're making you use cards so they can get your information. So in case you do take something that you're not supposed to, they can just charge it onto your card. Because I live in a tourist town. So we have a bunch of people that just come in and then they'll like scan something and they'll walk out of a store without scanning something on self-checkout. But now it's very hard for the cameras to be able to identify who you are. So now it's just like, well, you're going to pay with cards because we have your information. We can get off your card, where your address is, where, how much, whatever. We can just take it right out of your bank account if we want.
The biggest concern for the cashless society is that, this is why they want to get rid of cash. It's stopping the free exchange of goods, and it makes tax compulsory rather than obligatory.
I think it's going to make a lot of self-owned businesses and hardworking people, like farmers, for instance, that are doing I don't know if you've ever come across a person selling fruit on a freeway. But that guy who's selling strawberries is not pulling out a card chip reader. And if he does, I think I would probably move out into Amish country and have to live that way. More
importantly, he's probably not paying tax either. And that's why they want to get rid of the cash.
Oh.
They're losing money from undeclared revenue. You want to make sure everyone gets taxed equally.
You can't tax a wonderful orange. There's no tax for the beautiful citrus. There are sometimes I'm in a store and there's tax on everything. I'm like, why the fuck is this piece of corn taxed? It's like it's a money aspect.
It's crazy, isn't it? We have something called VAT in our country, value added tax. And I think it's at 20%. So everything you buy has a 20% value added tax on it that goes to the government. And there are certain things that aren't taxed under it, like children's clothes, food, and something else. So anything that's a luxury. Now, if you want to buy a new watch, you have a 20% value added tax on it. If you want a new TV, PS4, pair of smart shoes, I don't know if shoes are covered. Yeah, shoes as well. And you pay a 20% value added tax on it. You know, it's just a money grab. It's nothing new.
I don't know about you, but when I was a kid and something said $45 or like a video game was like $45, I'd be like, oh, and I get $45. And then I'd go to pay and it'd be like, it's 52. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean it's 52? Like it's tax. I'm like, well, what's this tax bullshit? It's the same thing like a tip. I don't understand the 20%. I just give the person what I think is a reasonable amount, which is usually probably a little bit more, but I don't feel like doing the math because then my head starts to hurt. And if we look at tax, I think a good idea would be if we just gave people an option to where their tax money would go. I mean, there's the fucking donation thing like John Hopkins or SPCA. More people are going to donate to save a dog's life than a person's life. So, I mean, if you give people the option of where their tax money could go, oh, this will go funded into the roads. This will get funded into figuring out if Area 51 is actually a thing. Like, I would love to donate my money for that.
Yeah. I don't see that happening. Why would they give you the power to decide how they spend your money? This is the thing that people talk about the government and the government's money. The government doesn't own any money. The government doesn't have any money. It's your money that they're spending. When the government comes out and saying, yeah, we've got this new program, it's $200 million for such a thing. It's not the government's money. That's your money that they're redistributing. And it's something that's, there's a disconnect somewhere. People think that the government has money. It doesn't. It's your money. And it's the businesses that operate in your country. It's their money.
Is there a way to be able to fix it so I can choose where my money goes?
I can't see them ever letting you do that. Tell you what we get. We get an email at the end of the tax year, and it's got like a pie chart on it, and it breaks up roughly what percentage of your tax that you paid was spent on each government department. So you'll have this pie chart, and say you paid $5,000 tax last year, for example. You'd have this pie chart, and it would say $1,200 on defense, $800 on pensions, $300 on education. So they do give you sort of a breakdown on what they're spending their budget on. It'd be something like $200 on interest payments to the Fed, to the Federal Reserve.
I want to change that from where it says like education and defense. I want to be like, can I just put some of my money in the Domino's stock and then some of my money in like another stock? Like, if they let me control the budget, I think a lot of things would get fixed. But at the same time, I think a lot wouldn't, because I would be I don't see the defense part. Like, oh, we donated a lot of that money to the defense system. It's like, where were you when I got robbed? Where was the defense on that one? It's like, oh, we're blocking you from other countries. It's like, hang on a second. I'm worried about the guy that put a gun to my head and told me if I didn't suck his dick, he was going to take all my money. So I would like to know where that defense budget is. I mean, if you want to talk about pizza.
How did it taste?
I was going to say it's sterile and I like the taste, but then that would have been bad on me.
The thing is, defense is a particularly interesting area because I live near one of our country's biggest defense contractors. It's a multi-billion-dollar multinational company, and it sells a lot to the US as well. So, if you can campaign to significantly lower defense spending, we're going to lose a lot of jobs in our area because this company is probably the biggest employer within a 50 square mile radius. So there's a whole industry behind it, isn't there? And jobs are dependent on that industry. I think there's no easy way. You've got to sort of filter things down, haven't you? You just got to sort of taper things down, gradually reduce.
Well, it seems like with everything going on now, people are just they don't know who to trust anymore. They don't know,
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. Like if I was going to ask you, what company do you feel like is like one that just that rubs you the wrong way. Either like, it doesn't have to be a certain government system, but like just a company, a restaurant, a corporation, something. What rubs you the wrong way? Like when you just walk by? Because for me, I consider Papa John's. I usually talk about it mostly because the guy's hair is always wet in every single commercial that he takes. But like, there's some businesses and there's some things like Mr. Rogers, for instance. That guy scares the shit out of me. I think he's got some bodies in the basement. I called Bill Cosby. I called so many other scandals that had happened before they happened. But I've been saying for a long time, Mr. Rogers, I'm like, someone just need to do a deep dive because nobody's that nice to their fucking neighbor.
Who the fuck's Mr. Rogers?
Thank you. All right. We don't even need to go into this one because it's honestly, it's useless information. It's like if I told you that, honestly, I say a lot of useless stuff, but I honestly can't even think of one right now.
Okay.
I am stumped.
Who's Mr. Rogers?
It was an old TV show, and I guess it was only in the States, but
Yeah, I never heard of it.
he's like this nice guy. Come on there, he goes, let me tell you about being a good neighbor. He would come on there and he'd have this like,
Fucking creep.
yeah, puppets. It's like a kids type thing. A lot of 80s kids grew up on, but then it was like, hang on a second. They did a movie about him with Tom Hanks, and they like, yeah, it was, it's not a good.
Kind of like Sesame Street then.
Yeah, a little bit, but more like one guy's controlling a whole show, and it's very creepy because every time he
puppet
smiles,
master.
you don't trust a guy wearing a cardigan.
Hey, that's true wisdom. Yeah, I think anyone can apply that to their daily life. Don't trust a guy in a cardigan.
If you had to think of some life hacks on life, that's one right there. What else have you kind of learned throughout your life that is a good life hack or good rule to go by?
Don't drink yellow snow.
That's an easy one. And honestly, it's sterile and I like the taste. I just find different snow, man. Come on.
Life hacks, fucking hell. Do you know? I don't know if I've actually learned anything in 38 years. I don't know.
That's either a really good thing or a really bad thing.
It's probably not a good thing, is it? I should know more, really, shouldn't I?
I mean, if you want to go back to the tax thing, I learned that there's a thing called death tax, which is like even after you die, there's still a tax. I'm like, wow, you just never stop paying for shit.
Yeah, we call it inheritance tax. So your inheritance is taxed.
That's stupid though. Like I would love to have like a rich like uncle I never knew about that left me like an estate. Like I saw the movie Knives Out where they were trying to separate the guy's stuff. And I was like, I would love to be in this scenario right now.
Do you know, I sort of half watched that. The missus was watching it. I was reading a book or something. And is it the one with James Bond in it? Daniel Craig, is it?
Yes, that is
him. Who?
That is him, yes.
Yeah, he's got like a weird southern accent or something.
Yeah, he's a good actor. That's all I can say.
Well, I just heard it. It just didn't sit right in my brain. As soon as he started talking and that southern drawl came out, I was just like, nah, I can't. My suspension of disbelief just isn't working, so I'm not going to watch it.
Every movie like that, there's like a mysterious wisdom person that involved a cigar. That's what made me think cigars are like this giant thing of elegance where like if you pull one out, the guy has the answers to the whole fucking universe.
Really? Yeah, I've not smoked a cigar for about 20 years, I don't think.
I do it like on like a birthday or something, like a special occasion. I think the first time I smoked a cigar was like my graduation from college. My cousin's like, dude, we got to do it. We got to do a graduation cigar. I'm like, okay, cool. So, and it's honestly still my Facebook picture because I still like to gloat. And, nobody tells you you're supposed to sit and enjoy it. At least I didn't know. So me and my cousin are like walking and trying to smoke a cigar, and it was the worst experience in the world. But I remember like going back in there like for a second time to find like, because I like a good flavored one. And there's just this old man sitting on a recliner just chilling. And he's just like, I look at him, I'm like, what do you have to offer? Because you seem like you have all the wisdom in the world, like freaking a monk sitting on top of the Buddhist mountains or something.
Yeah, I tell a lie. We used to have we used to have cigars at like weddings and stuff like that. So if one of our pals was getting married, we'd all go outside the boys and have a cigar. or someone's christening, or that sort of thing. Yeah, it's a
did
special occasion thing, isn't it?
how did that get confused for a special occasion? I always wonder, like, how did we as people, like, I've talked to some bakers, I'm like, how do we decide that birthday cake is what it has to be for your birthday? Like, I know some people do things different, like, oh, I just want ice cream, but like, why are these like, why is there a death ice cream where like someone dies, you have to have ice cream, or is that just pie? Like, I want to know these types of informations in the world. I wish this is what I learned in the education system. Like, they don't teach you how to balance your checkbook. They teach you what trigonometry is. And I'm sitting there like, I don't even know what the hell a Pythagorean theorem is.
Oh, well, do you know, it's funny you bring up education, because I was round at my mum's before, and she gave me a box, like a storage box, and it was full of exercise books that I had from high school and primary school. And going back and looking through that stuff, and you're like, fuck, is this what they were teaching us? It's like you wouldn't get away with it these days. Some of the like politically incorrect language and stuff like that is, yeah, I was laughing out loud at some of it.
Well, I didn't even enjoy history until I got out of like school and I actually started doing my own research on history. Like, because like I said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but my buddy was like, hey, let me, like, I would love to do an episode with you, but I want to know more about conspiracy theories. So he's like, look up the JFK assassination. Then Wikipedia just fucking showed me the world and was like, here you go. Here's everything the government has ever done ever. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like looking through all this stuff. And then I'm like, this can't be true. Then I go to the CIA website and it's all on there, but it's just blacked out everything. I'm like, oh, so we really did have a high school that was filled with mentally challenged people where we were injecting them with hepatitis. Like, that was an actual thing. And they're like, yeah, we did that, but we're not going to give you the names of anybody involved in that project. I'm like, you guys are some crazy people. Holy shit. No wonder you're taxing the dead.
No, not until they're dead by about 20 years. You have to wait
Yeah.
about 20 years after they're dead, and then the names come out.
Oh man. But
What's
if it's anything good, they immediately get released.
is it modern history that you research then?
Yeah, a little bit, like maybe a few things that happened like the 2000s and stuff. But I mean, if I was going to look at my inner passion for something that I really enjoyed history wise, it would have to be ancient Greece and the type of
Oh,
Greek mythology is one of my all-time favorite subjects.
no way. I'm a big ancient history fan as well,
All
but
right.
more Roman Republic. And
Oh, you're kind of fighting the opposite of me here.
well, you know, Rome suckled off the teat of ancient Greece, didn't they, and stole all the best ideas.
See, I look at that time period and I've talked to people who are artists and I'm like, that's like back in the day, we were so expressive with our creativity. They wore such bright colors. Now every day we wear like dark colors or we wear something that's a brand rather than creativity or freedom. I'm like, when I started learning about Rome, I only give Rome a credit for one thing. Their armies are awesome, but also they're the one that developed a wonderful bathroom system.
Yeah, the
That,
bath.
yeah, like the toilet. Back when they just dug a trench and you get to watch the shit still go. Like, people now are creating art to mimic that, where they just sitting up on a giant box on its where a toilet is, and they shit and it falls into a glass box, so you get to see all the shit hit the walls and everything. That's we're reverting back to primal ways. Monkeys still throw their shit.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, they had central heating, the big Roman villas. They had central heating in every room. And like when, Rome invaded Britain in, what was it, 54? Was it 54 AD under Claudius? And then when they left in the 400s, they left us all this amazing infrastructure, aqueducts, really good roads, the baths in every major area. And as soon as they're gone, we in 100 years, it had all gone to shit because we didn't have the means to maintain it. So there's this famous thing in this country called "What Did the Romans Ever Do for Us?" And it's from Monty Python, and they pretty much did everything for us. But when they left, they didn't leave us the skills to maintain it, and it all went to shit. And that's when we go into the Dark Age in Europe.
If you could travel back in time through history to a certain point, is there any specific one you would go to? Because, like, I mean, walking through like museums, I look at like, oh, you know how cool it would be to be back in like the Civil War, trying to be around like these, you know, crazy moments that are happening, or the Declaration of Independence for me getting signed. Like, what would that be? But I think for me, it would be Leonardo da Vinci. I just want to go visit and just like be in the shadows or something, just watch him work. You know, not touch myself or anything, but just more on the lines of looking at all his scribbles and all these creations and seeing the process of how he got there. Did he get there? Maybe like you get to see something like an alien come down and sign some shit like, this is what you're going to create next. And I'm just like, no fucking way.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I could probably think of half a dozen places in time which I would love to be at. The first one that comes to mind is the building of the pyramids in Egypt at Giza. I'd like to see how they did that.
Would you like to actually be like walk through the whole plan of it? Because I'm like, if you ever see any mummy movie or any type of Egyptian movie, there's always like booby traps and shit. I'm like, man, see, ancient Greece. I'm gonna let you finish your answer because ancient Greece is something I got a giant theory on.
All right, okay. Well, don't tease me.
Well, it's more about the thing of what happens when we die. Everyone always says you go to this place, you go to this place. And then it's the reason I never want to be cremated is because the Egyptians believe that your body was basically your vessel into the afterlife as well. So that's why they would wrap you to preserve you. So I figured in their way of thinking that once you hit the afterlife, when your body decomposed on earth, it decomposed in the afterlife as well. So I was like, imagine if someone fucking cremated you, then you're just a pile of ash in the afterlife, and you get to feel the burning sensation. Like you find, wow, I'm in heaven. And then it's like, well, welcome. And it's like, why am I spontaneously combusting right now? And your body's just being burned on earth. I'm like, just mount me and put me on a ship, bronze me, everything. I don't care.
You know, I've never considered that. You know, thinking about like spirituality and what happens when you die. My sort of running hypothesis is that there is no link between the physical and the metaphysical realm. So I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that link that if you get cremated, you get
I'm not
created.
saying it's true. I'm just saying I thought it once and now it's never going out of my head.
I think you're safe. I think you're safe to get cremated.
I'd rather just be buried. I don't know. I don't
Do you
honestly
worry about getting buried alive?
I don't know, man. Honestly, leave me out for a couple days and see what happens. If I come back, it's an issue.
Leave him to the fucking birds.
That's what scares me about, like, you know, if a zombie apocalypse ever happens, I would never want to live next to a graveyard because you'd just be like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Yeah, for a cop, yeah. Who'd want to live next to a graveyard anyway? I wouldn't want to live next to a graveyard, zombie apocalypse or not.
I don't know if you've ever talked to someone who's interested in paranormal or ghost story stuff.
Whoa, good chat. In 2 weeks, we've got a paranormal investigator coming on our show. She's a Ghostbuster.
I like that.
From your side of the Atlantic as well.
My side of the pond.
Your side of the pond. So I'm gonna find out a lot about paranormal shit.
Well, I love that I'm getting a little bit more about your show. Holy crap, I've only asked and we've just gone off onto every deep-ass topic that goes down 50 million rabbit holes.
It don't matter.
What's your show about, man? Tell the people.
Do you know what? It started off as like, I'm 38 now. So we started when we were 35, I think. I think we've been going 3 years. And it's me and two mates. We all have young families. We have full-time jobs. And what happens when you get married and have kids and stuff is that your social life falls off a cliff. You don't go out anymore, very rarely. You've got to fuck around with babysitters. You've no money, you've got a big mortgage, you've got a car to pay and all the rest of it. So you don't go out so much. And we sort of realized that we were missing this social interaction that men have. And that's good for them. It's good to go out and see your mates every week or every 2 weeks and just shoot the shit and, you know, break each other's balls. That's what you're saying, it?
Yeah,
balls.
Most like a lot of people that create a podcast, you create this podcast, and then after a while, when you start getting listeners and stuff too, you realize like, oh, we have to come together on this day to create content. We have to do it this day. So then what turned out to be like, oh, trying to get yourself just to do it for fun. Now you're required to do it, but you love it so much that it's fun now coming together and doing those recordings.
You're giving yourself an excuse to do it.
Yeah.
So you have an excuse. We have an excuse to meet up now once a week and have a couple of beers. And that's the thing is, that's how it started, but it's now more interview based. So now we're getting a guest every week. Last week we had a YouTuber on this Sunday. We've had conspiracy theorists. We've had a guy who started his own religion. Who've we got next week? We've got a self-help guy, a guy from Sweden on next week, and we've got the paranormal girls. So getting to talk to loads of interesting people, and it's like if I emailed this paranormal investigator and said, "Can I just talk to you on the phone for an hour?" You know, they're just going to tell you to fuck off. But when you have a podcast and an audience and a platform, you get to be able to talk to loads of different people, interesting people, and it's like it's amazing.
Preaching to the choir, my brother.
Yeah.
I was happy that you came on there. I thought you were going to be like, why does this kid want to talk to me? Is it because he thinks I'm Amish? I honestly, when you say interviewing, I was immediately thinking that you had to go and interview Amish people, but you couldn't bring a technology thing in because they couldn't talk to it like a recorder. So you had to write that shit down on pencil and paper. I was like, you know how, this is why I love the Mormons. And the one thing I know about the Mormons that is different from the Amish is that they keep a journal of every single day of their life. So they have journals back from when their family and were back with the Indians and all these other types of things. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. And that's basically what this is for us. Like, our kids are going to look at this and be like, why did you talk about taking a shit between two parked cars? I'm like, I have no clue. It was something I did in my life and I don't regret it because it made me feel even more like a man.
You're right. And that's partly another reason why we started, is that we realized that we're one of the first generations. I mean, I remember when there was no internet. When I was a young kid, there was no internet. I think we got our first home computer when I was maybe 9 years old, maybe something like that. But then we realized that we're part of this generation where we can document everything. You know, most of my grandparents were dead before I was born. I never, apart from me, one grandmother, they were all dead. So I never met these people. I can't hear the voice. All I've got is a few black and white images. And we were thinking, fuck, we can do video, we can do audio, we can record hours and hours and hours, and it's there forever in the cloud. Maybe further down the line, a couple of generations, they might want to hear, rather than just looking at a grainy black and white photo, this guy, this kid can listen to hundreds of hours of me expressing myself and actually get to know me.
There was a guy I talked to in the beginning when I first started doing these. I think I was like my first 100. He was like 98 or something. I thought I didn't end up posting his episode, but he was telling me like he was dying of a severe illness and he has like oxygen tank up his nose while we're talking. And his wife got him to start a podcast just to record his thoughts every single day because he wasn't going to make it much longer and she wanted to still hear his voice. So he would pre-record messages to her and all these other types of things. And I was around last year. I don't know where he's at now, but I mean, I think it's something. Like, I watch, like, one thing, like my grandma, for instance, isn't doing the best. She probably won't be around much longer, but she has VHS tapes of all of us as we're little kids. And it's the same reason I talked to a photographer, and she was talking about how it's taking that picture in that moment. One day you might not have a memory, you're not going to be able to remember that. Now, it's good to not be on your phone or be taking pictures and actually be into the moment as well. But just remember recounting them as well, because like I look at videos where I've never even met my grandfather and I'm seeing him, hold me. And like when I'm very, very little and I just can't remember it. And I'm like, wow, this is freaking amazing right now. Like, I wish I could go back in time and ask him a million different things before we even knew all this stuff was going to happen.
Yeah. It's one of the regrets I have because I've got two young kids. One's 8 and one's 4. So when the 8-year-old was born in 2012, I think most people had smartphones. They had phones with cameras built in, but I didn't take enough photos or videos or anything. And that's one major regret I have, because I'm from the generation that remembers when we didn't have a camera in our pocket 24 hours a day. It just never seemed pressing that I should get my camera out and record this on video. And if I was looking from my kids' shoes 30 years down the line, I'd be thinking, bloody hell, Dad, why didn't you take more photos and more videos? I want to see what I was like when I was a toddler,
Yeah,
you know?
I like
Hindsight's 2020, isn't it?
well, I like the fact that, like, you know, we have these amazing devices, we can capture these moments, but I'm like, we don't do it in the right way. Half the time I'm on Facebook, I'm scrolling through a video of some person, like, there's a video, for instance, a woman was not wearing a mask and everyone was losing their shit. This guy had his thing out and she just goes and like starts coughing at them to scare them. And he's like, thanks for coughing at us. He goes, I hope you all die. And then she just walked out of the store. I'm like, now we're recording this dumb shit. I'm like, you would think that, like, there are some people that put up videos on Instagram and Facebook where they're like, I got this to say, this to say, this to say. That's amazing. Express yourself. But at the same time, like, you're posting this and it's not making you look good at all. It is making you look like a total dick. Like, there's a, all right. So this guy had passed away, and shout out to Your Mom's House podcast. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Yeah, follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
Your Mom's House.
Okay.
Oh no, that's is it Segura?
Yeah, Tom Segura.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm trying to get Christina Pazitsky on. I had Squatch Ronson. His name's Michael LaRusso. He's one of the guys that made the Eugene Peterson, Connell Peterson, that guy. The what's his Fed smoker?
Right.
He made the videos for that they played on Your Mom's House. But Fed Smoker, for instance, that guy did not understand what the fuck he was doing. I mean, lighting his hair on fire, like to give himself a haircut, and then walking up to cops and trying to stamp them with a baby raper stamp. Like, you're like, that's what's recorded now. It's nothing. It's all reality television, man. I always said that if you don't have conflict in your real life, like if you don't like experience a day without an issue, you come home unsatisfied. You're just like, huh, today was a pretty bland day. And then you end up turning on your TV to where there's Jersey Shore, and then you're trying to stab yourself in the eye with a fork because Snooki's eating a pickle and then vomiting everywhere. You're like, what the fuck's happening?
So I just don't get it. I don't get the whole reality TV. I remember when Big Brother came out. Do you remember the first season? I don't know. I think you got it later than us. But I remember the first season of Big Brother coming on TV, and then it was quite intriguing because it was like a sociology experiment. You know, we're going to get 10 people, or 12 people, whatever the fuck, and lock them in a house and not give them access to the outside world. And it was kind of interesting, but everything's just devolved into this fucking asinine shit we have on TV now, like the Jersey Shore and the Housewives,
90-Day Fiance.
Whatever the fuck, The Bachelor and all this shit, and you think, fucking hell, why are people watching this dog shit? But they seem to, don't they?
I miss the old days where Regis was on TV and he was playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Oh hell yeah, I remember that. I was in high school. I think I was about 13 maybe when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire first came on, and it was wow, £1 million. In one evening, you can win £1 million. There was no game show like it at the time. I'm guessing the top prize would have been like 50 grand or 80 grand on a game show. And then this show comes on and it's £1 million. If you win, it's £1 million. And that was mind-blowing to everyone.
I've seen Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and then I've seen people win the whole thing, and I'm like, wow, you studied for this. And then I watch like Family Feud, and I feel like they just go off the street in like the lowest education area possible and be like, come over here and get on my show. And it's like people are just like hitting the button, and they're like, name something with the word new in it. Nebraska. And it's like, no, that's not that's not it at all. And it's like, did you just say that? I'm like, I would love to go on one of these game shows like The Price is Right or something. But at the same time, it's like, are they doing it for attention? Like, I remember hearing on the Norm Macdonald show, they were talking about, they had Judge Judy on, and she was talking about like all the people that would just literally go and be recorded on television being like, criticized by this woman that's judging them. And they do it because it's the money aspect of things. They just want to be paid so much money. I was like, you rather go on live television, make yourself look like an idiot, in front of everybody just to get paid.
Have you heard of the Jeremy Kyle show?
No.
Fucking hell. Right. It's been shut down now, about 10 years too late. But you'll remember Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
The Jerry Springer show. It's basically like a UK version of the Jerry Springer show, but taken to the nth degree. I mean, it's like it was sick watching it.
You
Just,
are not the father.
Oh yeah, but it's bordering on exploitation. You know, these people are being exploited to try and get the 15 minutes of fame in the anime. I don't even think they got paid, to be on it. But I mean,
I think everything's about like just like we get laughter. Obviously, I think it started with AFV. We loved seeing somebody get hit in the nuts.
Yeah.
You know, with Bob Saget or something. It was like, oh, that's funny. You know, I love seeing people get hurt. And then it's like people trying to hurt themselves. And then it have now evolved into this thing where we're trying to hurt people's like egos and put everybody on blast. Like if there's a radio show and what they do in the morning is that they call what they call is the Deadbeat Dad Hour. They call some guy or some girl, whatever. And it's about like, you just won a contest and it's this amount of money. You just got to answer these questions. And they usually end up getting the answers wrong, but they're like, we're still going to give it to you anyway. And they're like, all we need to know is, why don't you pay your child support? And then it's just silent. But there are some times where the name's bleeped out and those people didn't want to be on there, so they didn't get the money. But the people with their names that are involved in it, like you get to hear the person's actual name, you can look that person up. They agree to it just so they can get the money for being on air. And I'm like, why would you do that? Like, why would you go out and let the whole world see you as a piece of shit that doesn't pay your kids' bills?
Yeah, and why do people watch it? I think there's an element of voyeurism in it. People want to see someone who's really fucked up to make themselves feel better. You know.
Well, it's the old saying. It's the old saying: we brag in public and cry in private.
Yeah, I've not heard that one.
It's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know where I heard it from, but
say it again.
We brag in public and we cry in private.
Fuck me.
You're gonna have millions of cars, and I guess it's all about comparisons and stuff. And you know, being a podcaster, everybody's judging views and judging all this stuff, and it's like, it maybe not yourself, but it comes across like we all have this thing of like, oh, I would love to be a top this, top that. I mean, I come across it all the time. People are like, you want to use me as a free content? I'm like, dude, I just want to have a conversation. You know, I don't care too much about the whole like whose podcast is bigger. It's more like I'm doing this for the fucking fun of it. I've met so many people through this, amazing people like yourself there, Phil, who's wearing the best pajamas I have ever seen in my entire life.
Mario.
Yes. Good man.
Super Mario tonight.
Yeah.
I think that podcast thing, it comes as soon as a market opens, as soon as it becomes a business. We've had it where we've approached people to come on as a guest and they want to know how many downloads you've got.
Yeah.
What's your social media profile? That's
the one question I immediately, as soon as you toss that at me, does it matter to come on? Yeah, I do want to know. My all-time favorite band, okay, the one the very first concert I ever went to, their manager messaged me and asked me that question, and I said, never mind. And I denied it because I had that one rule when I started off with, if I get that question and that's all you care about, then don't even bother coming on because you're not going to be genuine.
No, you're coming on with not malicious intentions, but you have a different objective to what you're trying to provide. You're offering yourself up saying, you know, oh, can I have a conversation with you? And the other person is interested in what exposure can I get out of this? Is this worth my time financially? And it can be disheartening, but it's just part and parcel. You know, podcasting is a massive industry now. There's no getting away from that, is there?
See, I always talk about all these hashtags. Like if you look up the hashtag podcast, it has around 8.2 million posts. And every time you refresh or you hit recent, it's always a new one. Every couple of seconds, a new one. Everybody's kind of doing it. Then if you look at a hashtag like hashtag hot sauce or all these other types of small communities like the ice cream community, the hot sauce community, the pizza community, it's so new that it's not at that malicious intent yet. There are the few overinflated ego guys with like 5,000, 6,000 followers that think they're all that compared to someone with like 400 or something, but it's pretty new and it's pretty supportive. it just, when things get too big, it becomes a giant competition. Like everybody's trying to make their own, like shoot up a flare gun, like you're on a stranded boat or something. I'm like, hang on a second. Let's not forget why we're doing this and why we started the first episode in the first place. It wasn't in hopes of making it a career. It was in hopes of just having fun.
Yeah. I'll confess that I've been in that position where when you're looking to book guests and I've seen a guest and I've thought, ooh, 20,000 Twitter followers. And then thought, is this going to be interesting though? Is this what the people who normally listen to us are going to want to hear? No. So it's not worth it. You got to stay true to what you're doing it for. And the reach, whatever that means, or the profile of who you have on, should be secondary. The purpose is, the point is, what have they got to say? And is it worth saying? And is it worth listening to? And
well, I usually hate quoting Joe Rogan, but he said something that was really interesting to me, was the fact of, once it's boring for you, it's going to be boring for your audience. I mean, I've come across stuff where people always say, what's the interview like? What's the interview? And it's literally, I tell people, it's like a dagger to my heart when you say that, because it seems like, oh, this is going to be a scripted, I'm going to ask you. Like, I've had people that just won't come on because I won't give them questions. And I'm like, dude, I have no clue where it could go. We started off this podcast in a completely different direction than any interview or anything would have started off. You know what I mean? It's all about connection. I mean, if you can't take, and people that are like, I can get you in on a month. I could do it in a month. It's like, why? It's like, I'm really busy right now. It's like, what's going on? Just work and this and this and this. I'm like, everybody has an hour throughout the day. 1 hour at any time. It's like half the time you're sitting on your phone, laying in bed. I mean, you could easily do a podcast. That's what I do, is just, I record instead of sitting on my ass and doing nothing. The only time I literally block off like 3 hours to take a shit, and that's it.
I mean, it's part of the commercialization coming in again. And you're doing it the same as us in that, I take it there's no edits. You just hit record and then you hit end and then you upload it. Just tidy it up.
If you're asking if people are going to see your Super Mario underpants, then yes, they are.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. We do it the same way. So we record everything live. We have the theme music and the sound effects. I've got sound effects. Look.
What have I done?
It's all done live. Star Wars Episode 3.
Is that the new movie?
2? No, it's the original reboot from Phantom Menace.
Was that Ewan McGregor?
Yeah. Hey, he's coming back as well.
Dude, I hope so. He's one of my. Look, all right. So what's really interesting about the Han Solo thing is my buddy owns a Star Wars podcast, and I've been on a few times, but I've not seen any of the new ones. I don't.
Right.
I refuse to. The Mandalorian.
Don't bother.
Don't That's what I'm saying. Yeah, dude, I'll get you on his show, man. He would love to talk to you about it. Because
you've got to send me a link, because I'd be willing to listen to a Star Wars podcast.
Shout out to Mike Lando Ferrando. It's called Sith Talkers, but I'm Robbie One Kenobi.
Sith Talkers.
Yeah, I'm Robbie One Kenobi, but I love going on that show because he has me on for the what if episodes, which is like, my mind is so random. I just create a what if scenario. So we actually, on this last one he did for, I guess it was July, it would be the what if for July. He does them once a month, the what ifs. He was like, we're just talking. I'm like, imagine if they made a documentary, like an Inside the Music, but with the Cantina band. So like, it's one of them with like a heroin needle in his arm. And it's one of them with like a heroin needle in his arm. And he's like, down in a hole. He's just like floating in a bathtub because they got one fucking hit.
Figuring Dan and the Modal Nodes. Yeah. That's the name of the Cantina band. I'm actually sporting a t-shirt. I can't believe you brought that up. It's a tour t-shirt. It's got all the, I can't turn around because I've got my headphones on. You see there?
Yeah.
Alderon's crossed out because he got nuked by the Death Star. But
dude, I'm telling you, I'll hook you up with him, man. He would love probably to have you on as a guest. He does a thing called Dick Time, which is who has the biggest dick, and it's like he just compares Star Wars characters, and it's just a good way to relax and have fun, man. Because I mean, like, that's a giant thing that's really popular. Star Wars was, and if you looked at his room, he's got nothing but Star Wars Funko Pops all behind him and everything like that. And that's what I love to see. And I mean, I met him through the podcast, so. I mean, he lives in Indiana. He's a whole basically across the country away from me. And that's what I think the best part about podcasting is the fact that it can connect you with so many people, and you can make some great relationships through it. He's got a fucking saber. Where did you get that from? Is that from xsabers.com?
Oh, the batteries. I haven't charged the battery up. It lights up in place, sounds everything. It's an absolute beauty. Yeah, I've got a couple actually.
This is like you're supposed to, like there's a rocket headed towards, the moon to blow it up, and you're like 5 minutes late on getting there to stop it. It's like, oh shit.
I know. If I'd have known we were going to talk Star Wars, I'd have charged that up.
Did you get it from xsabers.com?
No, it was from a custom shop in the UK. It's called JQ Sabers, and it's the same sort of shit as There's two big shops in the States that make lightsabers. I'm blanking on the names.
I was going to order one online. It was going to be like $600. I was like, this is a beautiful way to spend a paycheck.
What else are you going to spend it on?
You just buy ramen if you need food.
Yeah. But yeah, I got it on eBay, actually. I got it secondhand, so I got a good deal.
You want to know a really good site to get some really crazy stuff?
What?
Wish.com.
Wish?
Yes.
This is the Alibaba Chinese wholesale place, is it?
I don't know what it is, but I'm on Facebook scrolling, and it's like Wish. It's an advertisement for it, and it shows you the things you can be buying right now. One's like a lightsaber. Next one's a gimp mask. The next one's like a double-sided dildo. I'm like, what the fuck am I looking at? Like, why am I getting this result?
It's not just you. I get them as well.
But then you click on it, and you can't buy any of that shit. I've tried. I've looked for a double-sided dildo just for the hell of it.
I got some on Wish not so long. Oh, you can't see him, but I've got down there. I've got a set of boobies, a set of breasts. That distance hand sanitizer. So when you squeeze the boob, the hand sanitizer comes out the bottom. I think that's the only thing I've bought from Alibaba.
I think that's the best way to get people to either, clean themselves up or act humanized is when you turn it into something like that. Like I know, for instance, there's this light switch at my aunt's house. When I was a little kid, I used to go over there, but it's supposed to be, the light switch is the person's crotch. So when you walk in, it's flipped up, and it's like when you're walking out, it says, how would you like it if someone turned you on and then didn't turn you off? And then you have to flip it down. But it was it was so fucking funny that it made you want to turn the light switch off. Like it was like, oh, it's funny. So you hit the light switch down. So you would always remember that. And it was just hilarious being like 14 years old and seeing that. How would you like it if someone turned you on and then didn't turn you off? It's like, all right.
Oh, that's disgusting.
I would consider it genius.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you can probably get them off Wish, You can probably get some new light switches.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not going to have the same retro feel.
Yeah, yeah. You're missing, it's the nostalgia, isn't it? You miss the nostalgia of the penis light switches.
That's all we want. We want to go back to a time where life was just so simple. You didn't have to worry about bills and shit. I like back in the day when the worst was, I'm afraid to heat up my taquitos in the microwave because the ones on the ends are going to be super fucking hot, but then the middle gets cold. That was the biggest issue I had as a kid. I'd shove that thing in the microwave for 15 minutes, go off, do something, come back, and then I go to bite, and you're like, and then once you get to the middle, it's just ice cold, but you ate it anyway. You ate it. It's like when, like Papa John's, for instance, they don't give a fuck what condition their pizza comes in. They just give it to you because they know you're going to eat it anyway. They're going to like, eat it, you fat cow. And you're like, but you dropped it on the floor. It's like, pick it up.
Yeah, you've already paid for it. They've got you.
Yeah.
Check's cleared.
Man, yeah. That's a dumb thing right there. They created pizza insurance.
Hmm?
You've never heard of that? Pizza insurance?
No. We don't know that.
It's a freaking commercial. A dude's walking like in the snow, and he slips on his driveway, and his pizza flies up in the air and lands on him. And it's like pizza insurance. You just spend an extra couple bucks, you get pizza insurance, you get another pizza if your pizza gets wrecked.
Fucking what? Wrecked between leaving the pizza shop and getting to your house?
A lot of shit can happen depending on how far your commute is.
Fucking hell, I can't believe that.
Have you ever got
Insurance.
Have you ever got food from a restaurant and then like you're like 30 minutes away from home and you haven't eaten and you're like, I just picked this up and I gotta wait till I get home to feed everybody else, and it's like you're looking at the bag. It's what they call dad tax, where you get McDonald's for your kid and you're just picking out fries out of the bag. It's a dad tax.
Yeah. Yeah. Holy shit. I can't believe that.
The world's got some crazy stuff that goes on with it. If you want to talk about history, what about the stuff that's going on now? The fact that there's like people on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok that are making millions of dollars when in a million years, I don't think our grandparents would have ever thought that would have been a possibility.
Do you know, it's all down to the internet, isn't it? The internet was such a game changer. And Tim Berners-Lee, when he invented this thing and gave it to the world, I don't think he could have comprehended how big an impact this would have on our society, on our species. It's gigantic.
It's good and bad.
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? It depends how you wield it. It can be used for incredibly good things and incredibly bad things.
And you're bringing me back to my theory on the gene chip. So they have an idea of putting a chip into the back of your head. And I said, that'd be amazing with the way we're thinking of how we would use it. But the real way we'll be using it is you're going to be in the middle of class looking up fucking porn on the back of your head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're not putting a chip anywhere near my fucking head or my kid.
I've heard people that have had like their parent has chipped their baby or something. And it's like, imagine that. Like I watched I'll admit, I watched an iCarly episode where the kid was like, my fucking head's beeping. And she's like, what do you mean? And his mother had put a tracking chip into his head. So he was just hearing a beeping. I was like, imagine having something inside of you like that that's going to track you 24/7. You could never turn it off unless you hit your head really fucking hard.
I mean, the worrying thing is that it seems to be inevitable because we've gone from a computer in the home, a home computer, to a mobile device, a phone that you put in your pocket, to wearables. Now we have wearables, smart watches. Surely the next step is for that to just go under the skin, and then you can't forget to take it out with you. It's so convenient just to have it there under the skin.
Why
I mean,
are we
I
so
hope it doesn't.
obsessed with improvement?
It's part of our nature, isn't it? You know, innovation is part of our nature, and we're always pushing. We always want the next best thing. And you know, it's a shiny. Show me the shiny. Yes, shiny. I want the shiny, please.
There's literally people out there that have died over a male enhancement surgery where they take a metal rod and stick it into your crotch. And depending on the size that you get, there's a small, there's a medium, there's a large. And all it does is extend it and pull the skin out to where it's just constantly just hard. It's a metal rod in there. I'm like, there are people that have died risking to get that surgery on the aspect of that. They're so focused in on their size of something or what people are going to think of them that they have to try and do this and risk their life. It's the same reason people get like, it doesn't cosmetic surgery and stuff. I mean, I get it if it's for a medical thing you have to get, like if you need to get like a deviated septum fixed or something, but to get bigger boobs and risk all like the dangers behind it, it's like, oh, it's safe now. It's like, no, it's not. It's a you don't know. You could have a doctor that just broke up with his wife or something, and next thing you know, he's all pissed off in surgery trying to, put something on his MySpace.
Yeah, and the thing is with things like breast augmentation, it's a trade-off because there is a mental health component to it. So you'll get some women who, through some sort of lack of self-esteem or what they think other people think of them, the breast enhancement surgery will be a great benefit to them psychologically. And so there's a trade-off there, that you're willing to risk a bit of physical chance of things going tits up, pear-shaped, for the fact that you're going to get this psychological and mental well-being benefit in the long run.
But do you think that psychological, mental well-being would be hurt if we didn't live in a society where it's all about judgment?
No, but I can't see us getting away from that. You know, part of the way our brains work is that we distinguish things. We discriminate. We discriminate between different things. You know, do you want, if I ask you if you want chocolate ice cream or vanilla, you're going to say, you might say chocolate. You're you're discriminating between chocolate and vanilla because I know I've had chocolate and it's my favorite and I'm going to have that. Thanks. When, you know, judgment is part of what it is to be human. We make judgments every day over tiny little things.
So would a fix be to choose the thing that we don't want first instead of choosing the thing that we do want the most? So if you ask me if I wanted chocolate or vanilla, I say I want chocolate. You say we're out of chocolate, and we just say vanilla.
Fuck it, I'm not having any ice cream then. Fuck
Fuck it.
off.
I hate people like that. It's like the people that when they're eating pizza, they leave it in the box, the crust. I'm like, you piece of shit. Don't you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. Are they not just assholes?
Right? Saying I'm on a no carb diet. I'm like, you ate the rest of the pizza. What else did you think it was on? It's still on bread. I have a rule: never trust anybody who's never shit their pants. Everyone has shit their pants, and if you say you haven't, you're a liar.
Yeah, you'd struggle to find someone who. Oh, I see what you're saying. If someone says no, I haven't shit my pants, don't trust them.
Yeah, because they're lying.
Yeah,
Everyone's done it at once, and then someone goes, oh, "Okay, I have, but I was really, really sick." It's like that doesn't matter. You still have done it. You know.
it's the ego talking there, isn't it? When they say no, I've never shot my pants. They're putting up a wall, aren't they? A defensive wall for their ego. You know, they want to think like they're better than you.
Everybody wants to think they're better than somebody. That's why I have a huge ego problem, but I'm so good at keeping it in check. Whenever I get a compliment, I immediately just like stop giving me a compliment. Like I usually try and edit out of a video just because it's just it feeds the monster, and I don't like that. I think that was a thing I had to look inside myself at one point and be like, wow, I have this huge thing that I just a constant obsession of wanting acceptance or wanting to be glorified or something. But then I'm like, it's the same shit when I mean, I came across this enlightenment when I was walking out of a Dollar Tree with I bought a bunch of bowls and stuff for like my cabinets. And I was like, oh, I'm going to, I was walking out of the store and the woman's like, don't drop those. And then immediately she said that I dropped them all out of my hands. And I was like, if you wouldn't have fucking said a damn thing, I bet you I would still have my bowls right now. So like whenever somebody tells me you're doing a good job, I just stop what I'm doing. I'm like, don't tell me until when I'm done, because I'm going to fuck it up pretty hard. Come on, you got to have one thing about you that you really have been trying to fix or don't
I'll
like.
tell you what, I'm with you. Introspection is something that's majorly lacking in our societies, the US and the UK and Western Europe. People are so consumed with media and social media and the idiot box, the TV and whatever. People don't even think. People don't stop and think anymore. People have the time, they just want to be amused. It's like, just amuse me. Fine. It's almost like escapism. Just give me something else that I can amuse myself with for an hour. So I don't have to stop and think and analyze what I'm doing and what I'm thinking.
It's that attention span. I think that's what, COVID, for instance, that let everybody wake up to, oh shit, there are some things we're not doing with our lives that we probably should be doing. Eventually at one point you couldn't be doing your daily routine. You couldn't be going to work. You definitely couldn't be around other people that weren't your immediate family. And it was like, I think that woke people up to a lot of stuff. Like people lost jobs, people lost, to 20 years of their life basically in service to some company, and then it all went down the drain when the company closed or the company didn't want them back. It's like, now where are you at in life? I think it was an eye-opener.
I think it's pretty shocking to me how easily people had their rights stripped away with the stroke of a pen. And whether you think it was right or not to have people go into lockdown and people enforced by law to not meet in public and such things that we had in this country. disturbing to me. Oh, the camera's gone off. It's quite disturbing to me how quickly our rights were stripped away from us.
If I had to ask you, what do you think that was? Do you think that was just, like for me, my serious thought is I think it was an overreaction of what's going on when it got blown up on the news of how bad it was going to be. But then I start realizing all these new things that are popping up like card only everywhere. And then the inner conspiracy side kind of comes out where I'm like, it was a government test of power. It was a way to literally be like, how far can we like force people to
test of compliance.
Yeah, because I mean, the government has always been, I've talked about this for a very long time. Actually, on episode 239, I had a rabbi on my podcast. So I was talking to him and I was like, hey, man, the government's always been afraid of two things. One is religion and two is the people, because when the people come together, they can overthrow the government. So I was like, isn't it weird that now the government, the religion, the big thing that was the oldest thing in the world is now kind of being taken down and becoming more of a secondary power? And he goes, what do you mean? I was like, the fact that now governments are going and shutting down churches or closing down churches and building something else there instead. And he goes, I don't think that's true. Then a week after that podcast, 4 Vatican priests got arrested. I was like, dude, they don't care anymore. The government's becoming more powerful. And the reason why is the immigration factor. The reason why people are all so pro-Trump because they don't want immigrants here is because immigrants, not, if you want to say the job factor, whatever, but the fact of Christianity and Catholics back in the day when that was the dominant religions, now 56% of the population, most of them are millennials, don't have a religion. Or a lot of people just choose not to follow the major ones because it's turned into this cult type thing. It's got to be like, I'd rather just worship from home in my own meanings. Let me read the Bible and understand what it means to me. And I'm like, once that started happening, now the government has became the main power. And then the best way to, they tested out their power by saying, hey, stay in your home. There's this disease that's going to kill all of you, everyone you ever loved. It was going to be like Marvel Avengers, where the Infinity Gauntlet, you snap your fingers, half the people you knew were going to die. And then once everybody kind of was like, I'm sick and tired of being in my fucking house, I'm going to kill one of my family members so I don't have to be in here any longer. And then everybody started kind of fighting back and now doing the riots. Now they're trying to find something else now. They're trying to, steer everybody's attention. All right, you can go back into the world. Oh, you can start your businesses back up and do this and do that and do that. Because they realized, oh shit, we might have pushed a little too far, but now they've tested the waters. I'm like, I'm starting to think this and I'm just entertaining the idea. It's not like I'm 100% belief of it, but like,
yeah.
You see all the stuff like the Epstein stuff that everybody always talks about. It's like, you honestly think the government didn't do shit like this? Like they tried to blow up the moon at one point. They've done so much crooked shit in history that I know about, like Project A119 or all these other things where they're blowing up somebody else in another country. I'm like, they do what they want and they just don't tell you about it because they know you can't handle it.
Mm. It's part of human nature. Again, you can go back to the Catalan conspiracy of ancient Rome. Conspiracies have always been with us. As long as there's been groups of people and power and wealth, there are always going to be people with nefarious objectives that are going to work in the shadows and try and manipulate things to their own end. I thought it was interesting what you were saying about religion. Do you feel that our lack of religion, because we're a lot more atheistic, is part of our downfall, our current downfall?
I don't think so. I think our lack of religion is only on the aspect of the way that churches and all these things have been teaching for so long. It's got to be this community, you got to do it this way and that way. I was like, I think it should be open for everybody's own interpretation. Like, I'm not Christian. I'm not anything. Honestly, I'm not atheist. I'm an ordained minister of the United Church of Bacon. Just because I swear to you, I'll send you a picture of my certificate. I went to my courthouse. I spent an hour and a half trying to convince the woman to make it legal. It cost me $45, but I did. And I swear to you, I'm also a part of the, there's a cult, or not cult. There's a religion called, yeah, I almost whoa. There's a religion called the Order of the Temple Order of the Jedi or something. It's
yeah.
I'm a part of that as well. Actually, on Sith Talkers, that podcast I was telling you about, I
Yeah.
actually read an email that I got after like a year. They still keep in contact with me. Like, how are you doing? Making sure the force is strong with you, young one. I'm like, oh my God, you're better than my parents. You actually talk to me. And it's like,
We have a census here in the UK. I don't know if it's every 10 years. Do you have a census in the United States?
yeah, nobody fills it out.
Right. We obviously are more compliant over here because it's like a big deal. Oh, it's census year. We're gonna have a census this year. And yeah, they send the form out, and you fill in your household and 2 adults, two kids, whatever. And there's a checkbox for religion. You can put what religion you are: Christian, Muslim, Jew, whatever. Neither, atheist. And there was a campaign years ago to have Jedi put on the census.
Yeah, I heard about that one.
And they had to reach above a certain level. I think it was maybe 20,000. I think they needed 20,000 people. And I'm pretty sure they did it. I think it's going to be on the next census. You can put Jedi.
I'll be down for that. I'll put the Ordained Church of Bacon on there if anybody wants to.
You might be struggling for that.
I'm going to send you my certificate so you believe in anything.
I believe you.
It's hanging above my college diploma. I'm like, this is too dumb to fucking make up.
So how long have you been doing this then? Out of the blank?
About a year and a half.
Right.
I think so.
You're like 400 and some odd episodes now, aren't you?
One every day.
You're doing one every day?
Yes, sir.
Jesus Christ. That's commitment.
It's a lot of conversations with people.
Hey, that's great though, is it not? You must get a lot out of it.
It's aged me beyond my years, I can tell you that.
It's aged. Why? Is some of them hard work?
If you look at some of them, I sound like I'm 80 years old. With the wisdom I'm spouting out sometimes. Like someone goes like, holy crap, I can't believe you're 22. I'm like, yeah, I've definitely kind of, it's definitely, I can tell that it's, I listened to my first one compared to where I'm at now. And I'm like, I could definitely see a lot more information in my head. I'm a little bit more exposed to the world, but they say ignorance is bliss and knowledge is power. So honestly, you get to see that. But I mean, how long have you been doing the Amish podcast?
3 years, I think.
How many Amish people have you actually had on?
I think it'll be 139 or 140.
They're all Amish?
Holy fuck, no, none of them are. I don't think we've had an Amish person on yet.
That's got to be your pool.
Well, they don't use technology for a start, do they?
Get a fucking pencil and paper and write some shit
down. I'll send you my questions via snail mail, and then you can write your answers back.
I don't know where there are any Amish people in my country, but I will look for them.
They've got to be somewhere in the middle, surely.
All I know is that my grandparents used to work at a water park. I ended up working there when I was around 14 years old. But when I was a little kid, I used to go there for free because I would just wait till my grandmom got off work or something. And we got there at 5 a.m. and a bunch of Jewish people had rented out the whole entire water park from 5 a.m. to when the park opened at 9:30. And the reason why is it's a part of their religion where the young kids, the boys, can't see girls in bikinis.
Wow.
So what was funny was once they left, a lot of them left their yarmulkes behind. So then me and my buddy were just throwing them across the water park like Frisbees. I still have the yarmulke. I'll send you a picture of it.
Oh my God.
It was crazy because you got to see a lot of them have the curls off to the side, and it was interesting, man. And I remember all the little kids, they were getting on their bus, and I was like, you guys can't see hot chicks in bikinis. Like, it would ruin our religion. I was like, what kind of a God do you worship?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've probably got the right end of the stick there. I mean, not exposing young boys to swimsuited ladies is probably a good move.
You were supposed to get turned on and nobody turned you off. That was the whole point of the damn thing.
I don't know. We don't even have lads mags over it. All the lads mags got banned over here. Like FHM, Loaded. Do you remember all the shit from the 90s?
I guess. I mean, I remember Playboy.
Well, Playboy was like a proper porn mag, wasn't it? Yep. Yeah, Playboy and the other one, the Larry Flint one.
They told you The bio was the best. It was like likes long walks on beach, romantic dinners, hates people that are inconsiderate, and all this other stuff. It's like, wow, I really get to know the information about her. Now it's just fucking advertisements after advertisements. It's not even porn anymore.
God. But yeah, they all sort of disappeared. They got banned in this country, lads mags. I mean, it was a big deal. Yeah, the FHM loaded, Maxim.
Where
And then we
else are
had
we supposed to get our sexual education from? School didn't teach that shit.
Oh, the thing is, this is before the internet as well, isn't it? Obviously. This is it. Young lads now, I mean, they're spoiled, aren't they? They've got access to the internet.
I know what I want my tax money to go towards.
What?
To make, you ever see those porno stores, like the DVD ones? We still have a few over here. I want to make a drive-through for them so that you don't have to go out and go through a bead curtain. You can just go through the drive-through.
A drive-through porno shop.
Imagine that.
You want to go on Shark Tank with that?
Would you like some extra sauce with that double-sided dildo? Yeah. Let me get a number 4. Are you sure you want a number 4? Yes. What color would you like that in? I don't know.
I think that could work. There's some sort of shame, isn't there, in going to a sex shop?
Surprisingly, people are more open about it than you would think. I
Yeah.
ran into my teacher at Red Light District, which is this giant porn store.
Well, it's like a chain, is it? Red Light District.
Yes. Well, look, I didn't need anything from there. I just turned 18 and I was like, I want to go here now that I'm allowed to go in here. I went in there and my 4th grade teacher was in there. I was like, the guy that taught me that, showed me the Hercules movie, the animated thing on TV, was buying something sexual for him and his wife. And I'm pretty sure it was a GIMP mask.
Awkward.
Yeah. He just smiled at me. He didn't even act like it was a big thing. I was like, okay, holy shit. Have you ever been into one of those stores? I don't think I've ever been scared sexually in my entire life.
Do you know, thing is, I've been to like Amsterdam. I'm close to Eastern Europe, where all this stuff is rampant.
See, I can't handle it. Once, like, I've been into there's a thing like Hot Topic, basically, which is, I don't know if you know what that is. It's like a lot of pop culture, hipster, dark stuff, like kind of like, you can get like, obviously you can get like Funko Pops there too. And I'm not talking trash on Funko. I have some, but like, it's a lot like goth kind of stores. I know I saw the Thanos one. That's why I said, not talking trash. But like, it's a lot of like goth kind of stuff, like dark side piercing type stores, you would say. And there's like a little back section. I was walking to the back section. They had GIMP masks, they had handcuffs, they had, a bunch of stuff. And I was like, I don't think I've ever been more uncomfortable, more intrigued, and more scared in my entire life. And the woman's like, have you ever gone this far into the realm? Has your partner ever asked for it? I was like, no. Most of the time I'm just watching a video on YouTube or watching a video on the internet. I'm not really diving into all this stuff. And so what's this? Oh, these are the special wax candles that burn a lot longer. So you can get a nice burn from the hot wax hitting your chest. I'm like, interesting. So people are into pain. Yeah, there's this thing over here. You can actually put your balls in this and it'll clamp down. I'm like, yep, that's great. Wonderful. All right, grandma, let's get out of this store.
Well, you know where that comes from? That goes back to Body of Evidence. Have you ever seen Body of Evidence?
No, I have not.
It's Madonna, and I think it's Willem Dafoe. And it's one of these sexual thrillers. It's like Basic Instinct or whatever. And she drips hot candle wax on Willem Dafoe, Madge, in that film. And I think that's when the candle thing started.
I don't like to get hurt.
No,
I don't mind, like, if I'm driving or something and then some guy's behind me like yelling at me and I turn around to get angry or something. She's like, don't let me get out of the car and beat that guy's ass because you're too much of a wuss. I'm like, I love that about you. Like, I want you to throw me through a glass table, but I don't want to do it when I'm in the bedroom. Fuck that.
No, it's I think it's a bit of a kink, in it. Bit of a weird kink.
Like people that like to be choked and shit.
Yeah, I've not met one yet. Not had one yet.
There's a very good movie with Robin Williams where he's a teacher, and it's called World's Greatest Dad. And his son, he finds his son in the in his bedroom with a belt around his neck and jerking off. and his son died. So what he had to do was he had to pull up his son's like pants, clean up the situation, and he grabbed the belt and hung it in the closet so it looked like he hung himself. So nobody knew that he died. That dude, it was a crazy ass movie, man.
God.
I recommend it for anybody out there. Like, you want to see what a father would do to protect you and your identity. Holy shit, man.
It's fucking, that's a prime directive, that. Have you got kids, Rob?
Yeah, I have about 5.
5?
Yeah. I don't know
Fucking
where
hell.
they are. I just kind of leave once I go. He's like, no.
Oh,
I'm only,
five
I'm
five
lucky.
that I know of. I've got 5 that I know of,
I got
possibly.
that was an idea. People think I'm joking, but I had an idea when I was a kid that every year I would bang like 30 chicks, and then after 8 years I would travel to Hawaii and build a Mortal Kombat ring, and then I would have all these kids come at me for 8 years. So I would just be battling and they'd have to fight for my love. And then the ending, hopefully one of the chosen kids that I have would end up killing me in the ring.
Finish him.
Yes.
Were you a Mortal Kombat player then? What platform?
Xbox. Actually,
right.
if you look closely into my camera, see if I can turn it to the
Oh, got a poster up there.
Mortal
Mortal
Kombat
Kombat
11.
2. Oh, I thought it was Mortal Kombat 2.
No. My buddy from GameStop was like, "You want this?" I'm like, "Yes." So if I was gonna make a mask, I would make it like Sub-Zero's. I'm tired of wearing the doctor's one. I tried to draw a smiley face on it, but all I keep smelling is Sharpie, and it gets me really fucked up.
I had Mortal Kombat 2 on the Mega Drive. Sega Mega Drive.
I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
Fuck, that's before the PlayStation.
That sounds like something you put in the Millennium Falcon to make it go.
Yeah, the hyperdrive's got a bad motivator.
What do you think about the new consoles that are coming out?
Well, I'm looking into the PS5. I've got a PS4 Pro, which I like, but it's like that thing we're talking about. We want the newest shit, don't we? As soon as it comes out. So
I just want the newest Assassin's Creed. Like I said, I'm fascinated with the history aspect of things, and I love that game because it taught.
Yeah, I've never played Assassin's Creed.
You
My
gotta
brother
play,
told me it
dude.
was great.
If you love history, man, that's what got me interested in Leonardo da Vinci, was the whole fact. In the second one, you get to work with Leonardo da Vinci, so you get to learn this aspect of things. Like you need a new weapon or something, he creates this amazing thing that you can use as a weapon to kill your enemies and devour your foes.
Is he balls deep with the Medicis then, the assassin?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So it's like part game, part history lesson.
It's just, it's basically like there's one, the third one, for instance, takes place during the American Revolution. So you get to ride with George Washington, which might not mean a lot to you because you're from the UK, but.
Well, no, I know what you're saying. I like ancient history better than modern history, to be fair.
Like Odyssey, for instance, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the newest one that came out was about, Greek mythology. It was all about the Romans and Greece. You get to work with Aristotle's, you get to work with all these people. So it's pretty cool.
Right, yeah, because he was defending Sicily, wasn't he? Aristotle was instrumental in defending Sicily.
It's where a lot of my knowledge comes from, that and Wikipedia. It can never go wrong. If you want to learn more about people, I suggest Craigslist. They have some wide variety of people you can learn from. I don't know if you've ever looked at their services.
We don't really have it over here. There's
a person, and I'll tell you the same thing I told my teacher in 11th grade. Okay, his name is Mr. Krantz. Shout out to him. He bet me. He goes, "Turn off the computer." I said, "If I can prove to you that there's a person on Craigslist that'll come to your house and punch you in the balls for $50, will you let me still continue playing video games?" And he said, "Yeah, if you could show me a person that's out there doing that." I go to services, looked up men seeking men, found a guy that will come to your house and punch you square in the balls for $50.
I can believe it.
Welcome to the world, my friend.
Well, with the women as well, you've got these things called financial dominatrix. Have you heard of these? Is it findoms or femdoms or something?
Dominatrix, man.
Yeah, but they just extort you. You basically sign up to be extorted.
What do you think all our politicians, you want to talk about our tax money? They're spending it at a mansion where they're just getting whipped and hit with chains and shit. I don't like that. It just scares me. I'm like, we've gone too deep. It's like, I remember during quarantine, I shaved my head, and it's not the haircut I have now. It was a previous one, but I shaved half of it. And then I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I stopped. So I had half of my head shaved, and I'm sitting on the couch, and my buddy's mom comes home because I'm at his house, and my buddy's laughing at me like, dude, you got to finish it. And she's like, yeah, you have to finish that. I'm like, I'm in too deep. I don't know what to do. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go back to how it was before.
Oh, you fucked. No, you can't do that.
Yeah, she ended up shaving the rest of it for me.
Oh my God. You had buyer's remorse.
I did. And then I went back to when I got this haircut, went to the haircut place. She's like, what'd you do to your head? I was like, it wasn't that fucking bad. She's like, no, but you like right here, you can tell you dug it in too deep and you cut into your actual head. I was like, I know, I have a scar right up here.
Give yourself a lobotomy.
Well, I mean, it's funny because my buddy, when I got done, he goes, it looks good with a hat. I was like, that's the whole opposite of what you want from a haircut.
Oh, fuck. Looks good with a hat.
That's what I said. It's the best part, like you were saying, about being with your mates and doing a podcast. The fact that you guys can get together and have those types of times too.
Yeah, because otherwise you'll lose it. Lose it or use it. Your time is finite. Are you going to spend all your life watching the shit on Netflix? Just going from one box set to another box set to another box set? Are you going to go out there and talk to people and, you know, broaden your horizons? Why the fuck are you here? You know, what a waste of a fucking life. Do you know how unlikely it is for you to be born? You know, it's a miracle of nature.
You don't want to get nostalgia from your Xbox.
No, but there is utility in things like PlayStations because, again, we do the same thing. We have games night.
Yeah,
So every Wednesday night, me, Amish Matt, and Amish Ben get on.
Nobody's fucking Amish.
We've got our own clan.
You might want to clarify when you say clan.
We're all in the same clan, and we play Destiny 2. But it's not about playing the Destiny 2. It's about having the headset on and talking. And we talk to each other about how the week's going and, you know, what's happening? How's the kid doing? Your little one's he were ill last weekend, weren't he? Is he all right now? Oh, he's back at nursery now. How's that first week gone? It's just talking. It's like what we used to do around a fucking campfire.
Yeah, back when
we don't have camp.
Before I had a car, I would play Xbox all the time with my buddies. We would just stay home sick from school or something and just play all day. My dad would be like, Rob, it's been 3 days, man. Do you want a sandwich? I'm like, I'm good. Not really that hungry. He's like, you've been playing for days straight. He would come up and like drop a plate of PB&J in front of me like a velociraptor. You know, he'd be like, place it right on the ground, start backing away with his hands up. And I'd just be like.
Some of the best nights I've had has been me and half a dozen mates going around to someone's house, having a few beers and playing Mario Kart on SNES.
Oh, okay. That's hitting close to my heart right there with the Mario Kart.
Why is that?
Because I love it.
You can't beat it, can you?
It's fun. I like the Wii version of it too. A lot of people didn't like it, but I'm like, man, I love the Wii. Surprisingly, like playing bowling nights were so much fun. Doing that type of thing, like actually got people to move around for a little while. Then eventually, people just realized you could bowl sitting down. And that's America's way of trying to become even more lazy.
Use as little energy as possible.
I remember when I go to my grandma's house, she would get me Harry Potter for the Wii, and I broke our TV with the Wii because I was casting Wingardium Leviosa, and the thing flicked out of my hand and swung right into the TV.
Fucking hell.
She said, did you break it? I said, yeah. She goes, now what are we going to do? I was like, I don't know. How much does it cost to do another one? She's like, I'll go get another TV, but you got to strap that thing to your wrist.
Yeah, there's a wristband on it for a reason.
Rob. That takes time.
You're fucked up.
That takes time. Okay. It takes a minute to strip to the wrist, and that's a minute I'm losing of my life.
Earning enough to buy a TV takes time as well.
I think it was because I had to, like, I would go to the bathroom and then it would still be on my wrist. So I didn't feel like taking it off. So, like, I would go into the bathroom and then I'm trying to pee. The thing's, like, slapping me in the crotch. And I'm like, okay, I need to I'm just gonna take it off and then not put the strap on.
You're trying to wipe your ass, and the joystick is just sort of
Clanging into your
gliding
nuts.
up your crease, and just getting the winnets attached to it.
And it all goes back to the kinks.
Yeah, we found one. There must be some Wii. There must be some Nintendo Wii kinks.
I want you to take that Wii remote and see how far you can shove it. Finish the line. It's a new TV show. Well,
Keep that. Go on.
I was about to say, well, Phil, I think I've wasted enough of your time there, man.
Hey, it's not been a waste. It's been fun.
If you want, dude, please promote your show, man. Promote your podcast, dude.
Yeah, it's called the Amish Inquisition. You can get it anywhere. If you listen to this podcast, wherever you're listening to it, you can find it on everywhere, Spotify and all the rest. And you can follow us on social media. We're on Twitter. Well, we're not really on Twitter, but we're on Instagram and all the rest of it. So,
and if somebody finds an Amish person, please tell them to send a carrier pigeon to Phil to be on his show.
Yeah, or lend them a smartphone or a laptop or something. We'd love to have that.
They can't use it.
Well, they can bend the rules, surely. Fucking hell. Just for an hour?
Think, right? Like, that they could just easily, like, those people are just committed to their society. Like, we talk about religion, they're just committed to it.
Or what you do is you get one of the young Amish people, they have this thing where they send them off when they're like 18.
Oh, yeah, when they're 18, yeah.
Yeah, you get to go out into society and then make a decision, don't you, whether you want to go back to your community or... That's what we need. We need someone who's doing that.
I wonder how many people actually go back.
Do you know, I might do that. I might just join an Amish commune just for the fuck of it because it sounds pretty good to me.
I'd rather join a nudist colony.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Make your own wine and shit.
I wouldn't want to intimidate everyone there.
But you want to join a nice nudist colony with like people like Jennifer Aniston or something. You don't want to join like an elderly nudist colony. Where it's like,
why did you go to Jennifer Aniston?
Because she's fucking hot. What do you mean?
Yeah, she was hot when I was like 13.
She still looks like she did back in the day.
Really? Oh,
yes.
I'm gonna have to Google this because
she's like Morgan Freeman.
I imagine she's an old hag.
No, dude, she looks exactly the same. I think it's because she's never had kids. Or does she have kids? You know kids age you. Oh, my God. It's like being president. No. You age so fast.
Nope, absolutely no idea what you're talking about. No, Jennifer Aniston, circa 1996. The hottest woman in the world ever, probably. I'm not buying it. That she's still hot at 50, whatever.
I want you to Google this when we get done with the podcast.
I'm gonna have to.
And I'm gonna send you.
Did she not go skinny? Did she not go really skinny?
No, that was oh, you're talking about Brad Pitt's.
Oh, Jolie.
Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, she's a bit nuts though. She
looks like a flounder.
Didn't she have like a necklace with a
vial of blood with my mom's secret crush, which is Billy Bob Thornton?
Mom's secret crush?
My mom has met that guy multiple times.
She's stalking him.
Well, now he's a musician.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a musician, and he never wants to talk about his acting career. But my mom works for a radio station, so she got to interview him a few times, and they actually went out, like his whole crew and everything. And they went out to like a restaurant and stuff.
And didn't he have a vial of her blood as well?
Yeah.
On his neck. Yeah, that's fucked up. I'm
surprised the Brad Pitt thing lasted that long.
Really? I mean, he's a hot piece of ass.
Yeah, I know, but she's nuts. He's just normal.
Yeah, but I bet she's a Vulcan in the... Oh, what is it?
She does remind me of one of those characters from Star Trek.
Yeah. There's a phrase, isn't there? A Vulcan in the
sheets?
No, yeah, no, it's a Vulcan in the something, a Klingon in the sheets.
I don't know. I only saw Star Wars, so I've never seen Star Trek.
I'll let you wrap up. You keep trying to finish, and I keep talking.
No, it's fun. This is what conversation is, Phil. And you're Phil from the future.
Future Phil.
Future Phil. Amish Phil. He's not really Amish, though. Did you put a disclaimer?
No, we don't have to worry about that.
That's all in the contract details. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode Out of the Blanket. Stay tuned for our next episode.